Hi guys, I'm Unfiltered CC. Welcome to my channel. So yes, I am the one that made videos about how I would use my last couple of dollars to pay for a class, or I would prioritize and pay for a class before I would buy even food or gas to go in my car. I was the type of person to where I would use my money to pay for education and I would figure out everything else. And I know a lot of people may be like, well, I don't know, priorities. Well, education was a priority to me. And not only that, I always been very passionate about education and I always value education. And I feel like, and I will say it with some part of my college education, I did have scholarships and they were great. And, but also too, just having to put your money where your mouth is and having to pay out of pocket, it really just make you, respect, I don't know, it's just a different level of respect, I would say that. So I made a video already about this, but yeah, so I remember when I did multiple, because I had to do this multiple times, but every time I would choose education and I wouldn't make any excuses because I knew that it was greatness and I knew that I deserved to be great. You get what I'm saying? So it's pretty much an investment also. um and I know a lot of people say, well, you could be amazing without a formal education or without a bachelor's or without, whatever degree. I just know for me, what I wanted to do, it speaks in way more volumes when you go through the process yourself. And me, just my motivational speaking journey and my education journey, um, when I had to do things like that, like take bill money and pay for classes. You get what I'm saying? Use my last to pay for education, literally. Driving out of town to go to the university to pay for the class XYZ. I that taught me that most people weren't able to do that. They weren't. Let me see. I'm not going to say most people weren't willing to do that, and this is why I would say that, because when I was going through that process, so many people, like really 90% of the people, will come to me and say, there is no way in the world that I would spend my money or, pay for a class or spend my last on education. So I learned very quickly that a lot of people, weren't willing to do the things that I have done, being in certain situations that I have been in, for the sake of embetterment, and for the sake of education. And so when a series of these things, just me always choosing, to level up, always choosing to, for embetterment and greatness and having a standard, it showed me how many people weren't willing to do that. Because for the most part, I used to think, well, don't everybody do this? Don't most people? Don't, or you would do, or I would say things like, oh, you would if you had to. You would pay for a class. You would choose this. But in reality, when people would literally say, oh, no, I wouldn't, or I don't know how you're able to do this, or they would make excuses, I'm just like, wow. And then the numbers like kind of grew on me to where it showed me it was a large amount, or for the most part, most people weren't willing to um, go through that process, or either, I'm gonna say that I'll go through that process on that level. So one of my core speeches is one of my core speeches is not even talking about that, though. Not even talking about having to pay out of pocket for classes. It was the grind even 10 years before that. So that's my core story. You get what I'm saying? Because that's when I was being made. That's when I was going through the process to be who I am today. To be able to walk in my confidence and be able to stand in greatness and know who I am. Because I know I went through the process to become great. I know I went through the process when I could have made a million and one excuses. I said, no, I'm going to become great and I'm going to be my best version of myself. Not comparing myself to anybody else. Because like I've already said, comparison is an insult to God. I gave you that quote from Denise Hart, and it's so true. Comparison truly is an insult to God. I stay in my lane, I dominate my lane, I master my lane, and I walk it out. And that I noticed that when I would open my mouth, I would speak a lot of wisdom at a young age, and that it would get the attention of, a lot of people. So I know sometimes I act, not really act silly, but I don't always. A lot of my videos, I say profound things, a lot of things with great wisdom. Um, and this is what I've been told. Like I said, this is not even just what I've been told. This is what have got me to really where I am today. Um, I wanted to share more about my journey and how I started doing motivational speaking. I remember when I was in a community college, going to school at night, working 3 jobs, going to school at night, in the process of trying to buy a house, putting my son through one of the top private schools. Matter of fact, doorways came open because people saw how hard I worked. They were like, look, I want to offer you a job. Like, I want to do anything to help this. Because they hadn't even seen anyone, I guess, like, work to that stand. Either grind is on that level. You get what I'm saying? Works to that standard. I don't know. I'm trying to put that in words. But, anywho, I remember sitting in class at Pitt Community College. Now, then we fast forward to how did you, years later, I became, one of the graduation speakers there, or guest speakers, keynote speakers there at their graduation. But let's go back. How did all that happen? How did all that, well, not even including my core story. My core story is where the real process happened of me becoming, going through the process. And that just included me. In that speech, I pretty much gave you a glimpse of my day. From the time I woke up at 5 in the morning, I just pretty much told you everything I did within that day, what my day looked like. And when I even look back at that schedule, I'm just like in awe. I don't even know how I got it done. But at the time, it wasn't really another option for me. You get what I'm saying? And I thought it was possible. So therefore it was possible. So a lot of times you will have a big mountain in front of you, and it's how you perceive that mountain. You get what I'm saying? Because I really didn't. I always saw mountains as that, like, they're doable. You get what I'm saying? And I had kind of a, let's see, I don't even know if you want to call it faith. I don't know what you want to call it. But when I look back, I'm just like, how did I even do this? Like, how did I even work on that level? How did I grind on that level? I just thought it was possible, and I just kept just growing. And I just really love self-development and everything. So I just work. And I was just told, you outwork everybody around you. Just do that. Just continue to do that. Continue to get your education. You're going to be great. You're going to be okay. And I think I took that. I took it literally, for one. I definitely took it literally. And that's one thing that helped me. But like I said, I'm kind of going back. So I'm talking about a little bit of everything right now. But I'm going to go back to, like I said, when I was sitting in the classrooms years ago at Pitt Community College, where my education started, like, back in the day. And I would be, like, sitting in the class falling apart because I would work in 2 to 3 jobs. And I would look, and when teachers, instructors would be like, think that you're lazy or whatever, but I had to tell her, I was like, look, it's not that I'm lazy. I said, it's just that I work 2 to 3 jobs and I'm trying to go to school. So excuse me. But yeah, so I said all that to say, I remember sitting in classroom at night